Hey guys, it's Rescue Rabbit 101, and we're back with another episode of Tech Tuesday. This video, I'm sorry, is going to be uploaded Wednesday. Again, I am very sorry I forgot to upload it on Tuesday, and I won't be able to get a Weird Deck Wednesday out until Thursday because my computer is bad and cannot upload more than one video a night just based on the time I record and how slow it is. But today is Tech Tuesday, and so let's get to the video. So as you can probably guess at this point, if you've seen the title, you can know we're doing Black Horn of Heaven and Time Space Trap Hole. And I am doing these two as a conjoined one because I feel like the cards are both very good this format, but only against certain matchups, and the cards sort of complement each other. So, let's begin. First matchup we'll talk about is Satellars. Now, neither of these cards is incredible against the Satellar Knight matchup, but if I had to give one to the thing, it'd be Black Horn of Heaven. Now, for those of you who don't know what Black Horn of Heaven does, it's a counter trap card that reads, when your opponent would special summon a monster, negate the special summon, and if you do, destroy it. Now, a note about this card can only negate inherent summons. Those are summons where the card is summoned without an effect. So things like Xyz and Synchros, where a condition is met and the card is placed on the field. These are things that do not start a chain. Other cards that include this that are other monsters are like Dark Armed Dragon. This does not include ritual summons or fusion summons, because those cards, the monster is summoned off of a spell card, along with any card where another effect would trigger it. Black Horn of Heaven cannot stop. Which brings us to the other card, and being Time Space Trap Hole, and why I say it complements it. Time Space Trap Hole is a normal trap card that reads, when your opponent special summons a monster or monsters from the hand or extra deck, shuffle that monster or monsters into the deck, and you lose 1,000 life points for each returned monster. Now, note, a thing about this card, it is not a counter trap card, so the monster still technically hits the field. However, it does not destroy, unlike Black Horn of Heaven, and they do not have to be inherent summons, meaning they can, in fact, be ritual or fusions. So, now, Satellars. Now, Satellars, neither of these cards is incredible because you can't actually stop the Altair to summon the Deneb. Neither of these cards will stop that. However, Black Horn of Heaven can stop the Xyz. I would not recommend using Time Space because if they do drop the Trevaire's effect will still resolve bouncing everything. It is a decent card in the sense that you can still get the thing off the board, but overall, if you're having a hard time against Satellars, I would recommend Black Horn of Heaven, though neither card is exquisitely good. Moving on to the next matchup we have is Burning Abyss. Now, with Burning Abyss, the same could be said that neither one of them is incredible, but I'd have to say the reverse. This time, I'd say Time Space Trap Hole is better. Now, when they summon their two monsters and overlay into the Dante, the thing you don't want to do at that point is kill the Dante with, say, a Black Horn of Heaven, because then they'll just trigger all of their materials and their Dante. Now, while they don't get the mills, they don't really need the mills, and oftentimes they were only willing to detach. Time Space will still trigger the materials, but most of the time, one of those materials is either a tour guide or a special summon monster, and so therefore won't trigger. You use your Time Space Trap Hole, you pay 1,000, that Dante's off the board, and it's not triggering. And that could put a stop to a lot of Burning Abyss plays, simply because without that Dante, that was a lot of their center. Now, while oftentimes they can put out a second Dante, you now only have to deal with one Dante instead of two. Next deck we're going to talk about is Necroz. Now, against Necroz, Black Horn of Heaven does absolutely nothing. It cannot be used against any card unless they decide to Xyz summon. However, Time Space Trap Hole has some very good utility in this sense, because while if they do drop a card, its summon effect will trigger. The number of cards that can activate their effects on their drop would be Gungnir to blow stuff up, which is not, I mean, it's good, but Colossus to zero out and negate the effect of an extra deck monster, and Trishula, which activates on summon. Those three cards will still resolve under Black Horn of Heaven. Keep that in mind. However, under Time Space Trap Hole. Keep that in mind. However, there are cards such as Brionac, Necroz of the Unicorn, or Valkyris. None of those will resolve when you flip the card. The other advantage to time-space travel, the chances of them dropping a Trishula, and let's say they play Kaleidomir, and they send a 12. They can drop Valkyrius and Unicorn, in which case you pay 2,000 life points and shuffle both of those monsters back into the deck. They have just gone neg, in essence, because they don't have something engraved they can banish through their spell, unless they already brioed, in which case they do, but then there's nothing you can do. And they have just lost 2 monsters, and most of their setup. If they go double Brio, well, there's their 2 Brios. If they go Trish Colossus, they can still resolve both of the effects, yes. However, a lot of people, keep in mind this does out the Jin lock, and I think a lot of people would rather, because the Trishula is going to resolve either way. Now, there are better cards for any one of the matchups I'm going to give you, but the thing I like about Time Space Travel and Black Horn of Heaven is they work against almost every single matchup. Moving on to the next one, Cleethort Scout. Cleethorts. Both of these cards have really powerful utility against the Cleethort matchup. However, I'm going to have to swing this card to Black Horn of Heaven, because the Cleethorts will die if they attempt to Pendulum Summon, and you Black Horn of Heaven them, every single one of them dies, and they all go to the graveyard, not the extra deck, because they weren't actually on the field. So, Time Space can shuffle them back into the deck, and in essence get rid of them in that sense. And therefore, if they're playing Pot of the Riches, they don't gain advantage. But with Time Space Travel, if they go Pendulum 5, you're paying 5,000 life points. And that is a pretty hefty sum. So, I don't prefer Time Space Travel. It does put in work in this matchup, but not as much as Black Horn of Heaven. Moving on to the Ritual Beasts. Keep in mind, these are a contact fusion. And while they are a fusion summon, I believe, and I might be mistaken about this, but I do believe that this is actually considered an inherent summon. The Ritual Beasts are. So you can actually Black Horn of Heaven a Ritual Beast and kind of just mess with them. You can also Time Space Travel one, though I don't recommend it because more than likely they are going to tag out at that point, making your Time Space Travel a little bit useless. However, the one good thing about Time Space Travel is you have drawn out their card and kind of just disposed of it. So there is one good thing to it. Yosenjus. Neither of these cards work against Yosenju, and I don't recommend you try either of them. Moving on. And if someone is still playing Shaddolls, I would recommend, since Black Horn of Heaven cannot work against a Shaddoll deck, the Time Space Travel. Because Time Space Travel can actually stop the Shaddolls. You can bounce back their window. You can bounce back their Construct. Construct summon effect will still result, keep in mind. But it will get bounced back to the deck. Meaning, they don't have their Construct, and they're not going plus. They lost their Fusion, and they're not necessarily in such a good spot. Of course, they can send Core to get it back. So, that was Tech Tuesday. Here are 2 cards, Time Space Travel and Black Horn of Heaven, you might want to consider running in your deck. And while there are better cards for any one of these matchups, there are cards such as Black Horn of Heaven and Time Space Travel cover a large range. So just to review quickly, Satellar's is Black Horn, Burning Abyss is Time Space, Necroz is Time Space, Cleethort is Black Horn, Ritual Beasts is Black Horn, Yosenju's is neither, and Shaddolls is Time Space. So, both of them are good against 3 out of the 7 decks I listed, and neither is good against the 7th, being Yosenju. So, if you're struggling with with Burning Abyss, Necroz, or Shaddolls, for any reason, I would recommend Time Space Travel as a card to out all 3 of those decks. If you're struggling with Satellar's, Cleethort, or Ritual Beasts, Black Horn of Heaven is a good out. Keep in mind, Satellar's and Burning Abyss are probably better cards if those are the only decks you're struggling with, and the same could be argued for these guys, but for Necroz, a Time Space Travel played at the right moment can really destroy the deck. Cleethort's, the same said for Black Horn of Heaven, and the same said on Ritual Beasts, the Black Room of Heaven. And that's all for today. I will try to have Weird Deck Wednesday up by tomorrow. I'm sorry my computer is not at a quality where I can get 2 videos uploaded in a day at the time I am forced to record. And I will try to have something else put out for you guys to make up for the amount of videos I'm turning in late. I'm very sorry. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, give me any suggestions you have for any of the series. And if you want to see any decks you want to see that I have tech cards for, Tech Tuesday may at some point start turning into techs for certain decks. So if there's any deck you'd like to see me get the tech card for, please leave it down in the comment section below. And this is Rescue Rabbit 101 signing out.